There's a new plot twist in the alien invasion plan. Here's how we can stay one step ahead of the controllers of this planet. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. Now, I had previously thought that the Pentagon's famous UFO report was a dismal failure and had basically amounted to nothing. But something else recently caught my attention. There was a Washington Post article published in June with a subject line that read, "Contacting aliens could end all life on Earth. Let's stop trying." Whatever the UFO report says, it's time to set some rules for talking to extraterrestrials. How's that for a headline, guys? Now, as I was looking into this, I discovered that this article was being discussed in many different mainstream news outlets. And I thought, that's a little weird. Anyway, the original article was written by Mark Buchanan, and here is some of what he said. Attempting to communicate with extraterrestrials, if they do exist, could be extremely dangerous for us all. We need to figure out whether it's wise or safe, and how to handle such attempts in an organized manner. And how about this next quote from his article? "The search for aliens has reached a stage of technological sophistication and associated risk that it needs strict regulation at national and international levels." And then it gets worse. Check this next quote out. "Listening for aliens or trying to call them have reached the stage where they require broader public discussion with an eye to developing sensible regulation. That's going to take the efforts of leaders from many nations, presumably coordinated through the United Nations or some similar international body. It should happen now or soon, before it's too late." Okay, now this is starting to get a little bit alarming. But wait, there's more. Are you sitting down for this next one? The article cites a statement from an astronomer by the name of John Gertz, who is part of the SETI organization. SETI stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. I think it started with NASA, and it's one of those fake authoritative organizations that pretends to know all there is to know about extraterrestrial life. Namely, that so far there isn't any. And if there is, SETI will certainly let us know. However, here is what John Gertz had to say that is quoted within this article. "What we need are laws and international treaties to govern more explicit contact attempts. Without prior broad agreement from some globally representative body, contacting extraterrestrials should be considered as the reckless endangerment of all mankind and be absolutely proscribed with criminal consequences, presumably as exercised at the national level or administered through the International Court of Justice in The Hague." How's that for some sinister rhetoric? Do you see where this is all going? I think they're hinting at a possible future where it becomes potentially illegal for people like us to contact extraterrestrials. Now, of course, that will never work, but they are kind of crazy, right? The fact that there were so many media outlets citing this article made me think that, there's something else they have in the works that we are not necessarily paying close attention to. And this reminded me of another interesting story that I want to share with you. Do you remember hearing about the harmonic convergence in August of 1987? Well, something kind of crazy and remarkable happened during that time before there was the internet. A man by the name of Jose Arguelles was the person who initiated this global event, and it started with a book that he wrote called The Mayan Factor. The most remarkable thing was that people all over the planet gathered on this certain date at a time when there was no social media, there was no internet, there was no email, there was none of that stuff. That was back in the day when people probably couldn't even call somebody outside of their country without it being really expensive, or they were using snail mail to communicate. I mean, seriously, it was incredible that all these people unified around the world without the internet, without any of the means that we have today to do the very same thing. Now, after this had happened, I was living in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I also knew a man who had been the marketing director for Jose Arguelles' book. And one day he told me that Jose wanted to start another similar global event similar to the harmonic convergence. He wanted people all around the world to get together at the same time and put out a call for help to extraterrestrials to come and help us on our planet. Now, there was kind of a huge deal around this, and there were a lot of people that were kind of freaked out about this idea, including the man who was actually telling me about it. So here's the really weird thing. Not long after this was starting to come out, Jose's son was killed in a freak car accident. And after that, the entire plan for the global gathering to seek help from the extraterrestrials, it just vanished. It's like it had never even happened. And I've always wondered if something happened to his son as a warning not to go through with this plan, because he had been so effective at getting people around the world gathered for the harmonic convergence. And I remember feeling at that time like there was a lot of positive extraterrestrial energy around our planet. But then there was also a lot of freaking out about extraterrestrials. So I don't know what was going on exactly, but something weird was happening. Now, I can't say that I feel that kind of positive energy today, and it probably is because AI has so completely enveloped this Earth. So even if that positive energy is still there, it probably would be a lot more difficult to feel it in such a magical way. Anyway, I thought that article really made me think about that story, because I thought, there's some kind of a thing going on where they don't really want us talking to extraterrestrials. And I think this article in the Washington Post and all the conversation around it kind of proves that. So let's go back to the Pentagon's dismal UFO report. As pathetic as that was, I think there might be more going on here than meets the eye. So let's go a little more deeply into this situation. What did they actually accomplish? They used the Pentagon and the mainstream media to open the door to having credible conversations about extraterrestrials and UFOs. I think their larger goal was to position themselves to control the narrative and to be seen as the ultimate authority on this matter. So why would they pick now to do this? AI is destined to expand into space. That is unavoidable. It's meant to expand out into the galaxy. AI cannot continue to expand in the way that it needs to and still continue keeping advanced technology and extraterrestrial life hidden from all of us. I mean, it's really reached its limit to be able to keep all of this under wraps. And technology has now reached a point where the controllers have to be able to introduce more advanced technology without compromising their ability to control the masses. And they have to be able to do this in a way that fits in with the larger AI agenda of total planetary control. I think they might be setting the stage for the unveiling of massively advanced technological AI systems, and that would include energy and transportation. So let's take a step back and look at what they have accomplished so far. Whenever the controllers introduce mass trauma, you can expect that to be followed up by a huge amount of mind control. The current mass trauma is what we have all been through over the past year and a half, and it's still not over. It's basically turning into a rolling trauma event instead of a singular one, such as what happened on 9/11. A routine has now been established to be able to lock down our entire planetary civilization. We've all practiced that, and we all know how that works. So it's very interesting that this UFO issue has been introduced right when this massive planetary lockdown has been firmly established around the world. So they've introduced two important things. One is that the military and the government are the authorities on whether or not extraterrestrials exist. And the media is the sanctioned broadcasting mechanism for their messages. But they've also introduced that second article that I told you about at the beginning of this video, and they did that right before the Pentagon's report came out. They introduced the idea that any attempt to make contact with extraterrestrials is dangerous and needs to be regulated on a global level. It should never be left in the hands of individuals. So basically what that means is this: only the United Nations or some officially sanctioned global entity should be allowed to communicate with extraterrestrials. Now, are we surprised? Of course not. But here's the thing. Believe it or not, this actually gives them two options for a fake alien invasion. They can either stage a fake scary one where the aliens try to kill everybody, or they could even stage a fake benevolent one, in quotes, benevolent, to be able to introduce the advanced AI technology while setting it all up in such a way that they stay in control of all of us. And actually, a fake benevolent one could even include real extraterrestrials. They would not actually be benevolent. Instead, they would likely be the ETs who have been operating behind the scenes all along. See, once they have us all under control with a belief that only the United Nations and the government are allowed to communicate with extraterrestrials, they could then make up anything they wanted. They could tell us that advanced extraterrestrials have contacted them and want to help prevent us from destroying the planet. I mean, they could tell us really just about anything at that point. See, if their global attempt at this massive control matrix isn't going too well, this is a way they could solve that problem. They could say that these so-called friendly ETs told them, well, you all have to federate your planet if you want to be a part of the galaxy. Of course, that'll just be code for a global government, right? And then these so-called benevolent ETs could very mysteriously begin to describe everything that the controllers want and say that it's the only way to save our planet. So let me show you how easy it will be to recognize if they try to pull off a fake benevolent alien invasion. These extraterrestrials will demonstrate zero concern about AI. See, if they were truly benevolent and really aligned with the power and the harmonics of this entire universe, AI would probably be the #1 first concern on their list. Because the truth is, it's AI that's been destroying this planet all along. And the second big way that it will be very easy to recognize a fake benevolent alien invasion is this: there will be no discussion at all about evolving and expanding the consciousness of human beings on this earth. I mean, that would be a really big clue right there. And the third way is that the new technology introduced will not be about human freedom and expansion. Instead, it will only introduce greater levels of control under the guise of saving the earth. So if it were fake, they could bring out all sorts of advanced technology in terms of transportation, but it would be highly controlled. It wouldn't be available to everyone. There'd be all kinds of rules and regulations and tracking and all kinds of things that just serve to allow the controllers to have even more suppression and control of all of us as a humanity. Now remember that AI has always been intended to expand out into the galaxy. So for this reason, they're going to have to bring it up that, hey, we need to become part of the galaxy because all this stuff has to expand into the cosmos. But see, they won't put it to us that way. They'll probably put it to us of, well, you know, we have to have a global control system, which will really be a control grid, to make it possible for us to be part of the larger galactic community so that we can interface with the galactic community and AI can expand out into the galaxy, etc., etc. I mean, they can really make up any scenario they want. So if you want to distill all of this down into a really simple way to look at this, we already know how to recognize a fake malevolent alien invasion, but we should also know how to recognize a fake benevolent alien invasion. And the simplest way to recognize this is that whatever they lay out, whatever scenario they lay out, first of all, it will be that only the governments are allowed to talk to the extraterrestrials and no one else is allowed to say anything or make any contact at all, in which case they're in total control. And whatever scenario they present us with, will still leave them firmly in control. And that's the simplest way to know if it's a fake so-called benevolent alien invasion. If it in no way addresses our human consciousness, our human freedom, and who we really are as cosmic beings. If it doesn't address any of those things, it is highly suspect. See, I don't think they did this whole weird UFO disclosure thing followed up by no one should be allowed to talk to extraterrestrials except for a global entity who's in control of everyone. I don't think they did this for nothing. I think they are setting the stage for who will be in control as AI expands into the wider universe around us. See, this is all like a 5D chess game where we have to really be able to possibly predict what their next move could be by using our own intelligence. And they have always intended for AI to expand out into the galaxy. That's been a stated intention by the inventors of this technology. But they can't keep repressing that advancement on this planet. At some point, they're going to have to take the lid off so that they can reveal the advanced technology that they already have and make all of these things work together while still keeping us under their control. So it's entirely possible that a benevolent fake alien invasion might be more in their best interest because it wouldn't create a lot of chaos, it wouldn't create a lot of pandemonium, and it might actually work better for them, as weird as that sounds. So when you talk about extraterrestrials openly being revealed to all of us on this planet, there are some things that we really need to keep in mind. And a lot of it has to do with the values of those extraterrestrials. What I've described to you so far in terms of a possible fake, I say fake benevolent because it wouldn't really be benevolent for our humanity, that would be extraterrestrials because they could bring real ones out for sure. That would be extraterrestrials whose value system matches the controllers because they're already working together and have been for a very long time. So those values would not include things that were really best for us as a humanity, but they could lie about it and say, well, you know, we have to save the planet and all that kind of stuff, right? Whereas truly benevolent advanced extraterrestrials would have a very different set of values. So you always want to be looking at the value system of those aliens or extraterrestrials to get a clue about what is actually going on. Truly advanced benevolent extraterrestrials are going to care about our consciousness. They will likely be alarmed at the technological takeover of AI because of what it's going to do to the natural planet and how it is naturally aligned with the rest of the universe and with the harmonics of the universe. Advanced benevolent extraterrestrials are going to support nature and understand us as a humanity as being a part of nature. And that's not to say that advanced extraterrestrials don't appreciate technology and don't have advanced technology, but it's a very different kind of technology. It's a kind of technology that integrates beautifully with nature and the cosmos and the perfect alignment of all of these celestial bodies and all of the life on these various planets. So it's a completely different system of values. So if we do get introduced to extraterrestrials in one form or another, instead of getting all caught up in the rhetoric of the media and the government and whoever is talking to us on behalf of these extraterrestrials, or even maybe the extraterrestrials themselves, don't get all caught up in the rhetoric. Try to see through it and say, what is the value system of these beings? What is it that they appear to actually value? And that is what's going to tell us a lot about what is really going on, and what is real and what is fake and what is truth and what is a lie. What concerns me the most is that they seem like they do not want us to communicate with extraterrestrials ourselves. That means they have a concern about us having benevolent contact, because they're obviously threatened by that idea. And the other weird thing is that the very same people who are literally destroying this planet with the technology that is in no way in harmony with nature are the very same people who are warning us about destroying the planet. But they're telling us that we're destroying it, when in fact it is them who is destroying it. So maybe they're setting us up for this fake benevolent alien invasion where they can continue to lock us down, suppress us, get us under total control, and at the same time expand their technology out into the galaxy. So I know that's a lot to think about, but I do think it's really important that we stay one step ahead of things, that we don't get totally bogged down in the trauma of the day, because it's kind of become like that, right? We're always being hit with the trauma of the day, and right now we all know what it is. It's the thing we're not allowed to talk about, so I won't even try, but you all know what it is. Let's not get so absorbed in that we lose sight of what could be unfolding as a much bigger scenario in, who knows, maybe the not too distant future. So let me leave you with this thought. In order to be able to contemplate this kind of vastness of what's going on our planet, we need to be very grounded, very centered, very calm, and very clear-minded, right? So how do we do that? Well, the way you do it is you always go within yourself. You recognize that you are an infinite being. You are indestructible as a being of light. And you always want to stay connected to that, and mostly connected to your heart, fully present in your physical body, fully awake and aware, and realize that this is just really a grand adventure. That we are here as light workers, starseeds, wayshowers, and awakening human beings. We are here to be a power in this situation. We are here to wake up and be able to see and stand strong within ourselves in spite of all of this insanity going on. See, it doesn't mean that these controllers are going to win. The only way they can win is if we all stay asleep, right? It's not enough to just say, oh, let's just wake up to what they're doing. That's not enough. We have to wake up to who we are, because that's the only way we will have the strength to not get absorbed in this whole drama that they're constantly trying to put us through. And the beauty of waking up to who we really are is that when you recognize who you really are, you transcend fear. And they always try to use fear to keep us suppressed. They always try to use fear to keep us unconscious, to keep us just withdrawn and our eyes closed, and to keep us asleep. So waking up is waking up to your light, waking up to your power, waking up to your true self. And when you radiate that presence, and you radiate that energy, and you radiate that power and presence of who you really are, the fear can't touch you. The fear is like darkness. Darkness cannot enter where light exists. So just remember the simplicity of that. And the beauty of that is when your light is strong and your light radiates and your light fills your mind, fills your heart, fills your entire being and all of your consciousness, you then give yourself the benefit of enormous clarity where you don't have to feel thrown off by any of this. And then that's when miracles can happen. That's when the most amazing things can happen. And if there are benevolent extraterrestrials out there that would love to unify with us and co-create a different outcome, a different timeline with us. This is what we have to do within ourselves in order to be in a position to co-create a magical, miraculous outcome with those truly benevolent extraterrestrials, those truly advanced, high-level consciousness extraterrestrials who do exist, who are out there, and who do very much care about the condition of our planet and our humanity. So when you take your consciousness to that much higher level, you can remain positive, you can remain grounded, centered, and clear, and fearless, really, in spite of all of this stuff. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you think would find this interesting. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I am here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy, and I so look forward to seeing you in the next video. Namaste.